Aglaonemas, also known as Chinese evergreens, make excellent houseplants because they can tolerate low light very well. What also makes them great is that they can also live off artificial light. This is why they are such popular plants in offices and shopping malls. In fact, I've seen aglaonemas grow in windowless rooms only sustained by artificial light. I must add that generally the darker forms or the plain green forms are much more tolerant or grow better in lower light than the ones with the colorful leaves because they have a tendency to wash out their color in lower light. And although aglaonemas tolerate low light so well, your plant will really excel if grown in medium light. In the wild, they come from the tropical forests where they grow on the forest floor far away from any direct sunlight. So I must also add that aglaonemas are not tolerant of direct sunlight. I've never exposed any of my aglaonemas to the direct sunlight because their leaves can easily burn. I've always found Chinese evergreens or aglaonemas very prone to root rot if overwatered. So one thing to note is that you never want your plant to stand in any water. Always empty out the drip tray or the cover pots. And I found that the best way to water your aglaonema is to give it water thoroughly and then allow your plant to dry out for about half the pot. So if you take your plant, you want the top half of the pot to dry out before you water your plant again. Also, these respond really well to a nice thorough watering than little waterings over a short period of time. So you don't want to keep it completely wet all the time because they are so prone to root rot. And one explanation for that can possibly be that when these plants are grown in lower light, they don't take up as much water from the potting media. And as I've mentioned before, in lower light, plants do not photosynthesize as much than in brighter light. So they're not using all of the moisture in the pot. And then what often happens is that moist soil just sits there around the roots. So that could be one of the explanations why so many people struggle with root rot with aglaonemas. One thing to note about aglaonemas is that they are cold sensitive. I've found that with quite a few of them is that they really don't like to go below 10 degrees Celsius. And the reason for this is probably because they are native to tropical Asia. And in the natural environment, they're not really exposed to big temperature swings. But luckily for us, the normal temperatures within our homes are actually perfect for aglaonemas. You want to keep them between 15 and 25 degrees Celsius for optimal growth. Although they are tropical plants, I've noticed that aglaonemas are really phased by lower humidity, that they seem to withstand drier air quite well. So all of my plants are really spaced out throughout my home in lower light situations, not really close to any humidifiers, and I haven't really seen an effect of lower humidity on my plants. So if you want to fertilize your aglaonema, you can use a balanced houseplant fertilizer used at half the recommended strength. But just remember that when plants are kept in lower light, they are not going to grow as fast as in brighter or medium light. So they really don't need that much fertilizer. It's just something to think about when deciding when and how to fertilize your Aglaonema. So the pests that I've noticed on my Aglaonema have been scale and mealybugs. The mealybugs really like to get into the leaf axes and the sheaths around your plant, so always take off any dried sheaths or material from the stems of your plant so that scale and mealybugs do not have a place to get hold of your plant. But other than that, I haven't really seen any pest issues on my Aglaonemas. So propagation can either be done through stem cuttings or dividing your plants in the spring, as the weather starts to heat up. And you want to plant your plants into a nice, well-draining potting mix. When repotting your Aglaonema, only go one size up in pot size, because if you overpot your plant, you run the risk of root rot because of all the growing media in the pot that your plant is not going to grow into immediately. So always go only one or two sizes up. Use a nice, well-draining potting mix with plenty of perlite or bark to really give the aeration and drainage. So I hope that you've enjoyed this little video on Aglaonema care. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe to see more videos like these. I will see you in the next video. Bye.